holding the 49ers back from being great? If the Niners are going to fall short, Coach, of the Super Bowl this year, why? What will be the reason that they fall short in your mind? And it could be anything, right? It could be personnel, it could be coaching, it could be I mean, I'll say this, that Super Bowl hangover of teams that have lost the Super Bowl. I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, only 3 teams out of 56 have rebounded from losing the Super Bowl to come back and winning it the following season. 2 of those came in the early in Super Bowl history. Mm-hmm. So the Cowboys lost Super Bowl 5 to the Colts, and then they beat the Dolphins in Super Bowl 6. And then the Dolphins repeated that feat the following year. They went undefeated on the way to the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 7. But after that, it would be more than 40 years before the Patriots avenged a loss to the Eagles in the Super Bowl with a victory over the Rams in the next Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. This year, obviously, the Niners are trying to avoid that Super Bowl hangover. Is that going to be the reason that they fall short? Because they were in the Super Bowl last year?
Really, in my opinion, first off, you just got to deal with the game itself. Injuries is why we wouldn't go back. That's the number one reason. You just look at, we got a lot of top heavy units on the team. And if certain players go down, there's a big drop off behind those guys. What are we going to do if a Trent Williams goes down? Right. What are we going to do if George Kittle goes down? Right. That's basically the whole tight end room if George Kittle goes down.
Yeah. Probably the 2 most indispensable non-quarterbacks on the team right there.
There you go. What are we going to do? I mean, what are we going to do if BA goes down? Right. Who's going to be that true receiver to take over that lump of things? So injuries would be huge for us. If Nick Bosa doesn't seem to stay upright throughout the whole season, that'd be a huge problem, right? I don't even think we know what our defense would look like without Fred for an extended period of time. So right now we're top heavy. And that's cool. It is what it is. We're too close to the season to cry about it now. But if we're asking, that's number 1 for me is injuries. 2, the trenches. Let's stay at the line of scrimmage. I said this last year. I'm saying it again this year. Because it's football, this isn't unique to the Niners, but it's just the way it shakes out. Can we stop the run and can we run the ball? Right?
Yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah, and with running the ball, we're here. We've all been here long enough to know what I mean by that. It's not physically having the number 1 leading rusher in the NFL at running back in Christian McCaffrey. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, can we run the ball against the right teams on the right plays where we got to have it? Can we run the ball? So that's huge.
When everybody knows you're going to run it.
When everybody in the field knows we're running the ball, can we run the ball?
And can you get, and when we say run it, like, can you get a good, efficient yards per carry? It's not just, your total. It's like, what can you do? And can you run it? Can you run it only to the left side, like you've had times in the past, or can you run it to the right side too?
Right. So that's my biggest thing with the run game is that we find very creative ways to generate runs, to generate yardage. And it's awesome. You know what I mean? Kyle, good on Kyle for being able to put that stuff together. But as the margins close in the playoffs, right? And there's not a lot of creativity in playoff football. It's more along the lines of execution with playoff football. And execute an inside run. Larry, about inside run period during practice. Inside run is one of the most foundational periods of every football team, especially that period during practice, because ain't no receivers. Okay. There's no corners. All right. We're playing hash to hash. There are no sidelines. It's all inside run, and you guys gotta go. You gotta score. You got 100 yards to go score. So I'm very interested to see what our inside run looks like when I come out there to camp, if we even do it. But running the ball when we need to run it is going to be huge for us. That will be able to hurt us. Of course, we talked about stopping the run. We've pretty much been, I don't think we've had this many questions with the interior of our defensive line in years past. I feel like this is the most, unstable we have felt about the interior of the defensive line until now. We just let go of Eric Armstead. Javon Kinlaw finally kicked the bucket. He's gone. We're looking at seeing what that depth does. And then, also let's just stay with the middle of the field and just take it up a level. What are we going to do at that other inside linebacker spot with Dre being gone? That may be an issue, right? Because, teams are all about working harder, not smarter. I mean, working smarter, not harder. And what that means is that if the team figures out that you guys simply can't stop the run on defense, then that's what we're doing today. All right, why are we going to reinvent the wheel? We're going to run the ball at you. You schematically can't put up with it. You guys aren't in shape for it. And we much rather do that than try to, waste plays or waste parts of variations of our offense on you guys. Let's just get out of here with a win. So when teams figure out what you're bad at quickly, you begin to become marginalized in competition. So I think that being able to pay attention to the trenches, can we run the ball? Can we stop the run and injuries? And as well as that middle linebacker spot, and we'll be able to really supplant that, because I feel like whoever plays at that other linebacker spot is going to dictate what we're going to get out of Fred this year. We're going to see how effective Fred can be, being able to basically still lead the defense as he does, play amazing, but at the same time, kind of get somebody up to snuff next to him. That's going to be something that could hurt us down the line. And then last but not least, Brock Purdy. He needs to stay healthy. He's got to stay upright, and he can't get hurt. If Brock goes down, the whole season's over.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's no question. I mean, I don't like
that's not
or Allen.
Is that?
I think if Mahomes goes down, Kansas City's year's done. If Herbert goes down, Chargers are done. I mean, it's just the way it kind of works. I think I'm a little concerned about what's real and what's fake on their defense, on the Niner D line. I like the look of the first group, right? Floyd and Bosa, Hargrave and Collins. Okay, I like the look of it, but I still get some concerns. But then after that, like after those front four guys, who's real? Who can be counted on? Is Drake Jackson real, or can he not be counted on? Is Robert Beal Jr. real, or can he not be counted on?
I mean, we've done this. Yeah.
What about the new guys? Jordan Elliott and Yatir Gross-Matos, can they be counted on? Kevin Givens wasn't, he was Cadillacing it next to Chase Young in the NFC title game. Can you count on him? And then after that, what about the next group? Kalia Davis, T.Y. McGill, Austin Bryant, Evan Anderson, Shaquille Brown. Is there anybody there that they can count on? So that would be one of my main concerns. I mean, I'm looking at a defensive line that looks like it's 4 lines deep and they got a bunch of guys. But when you look closer, you realize that there's just a lot of unknown. Like, we have no idea what Evan Anderson or Shaquille Brown are going to be able to contribute. And then we don't really have a great idea about what that second line of Drake Jackson, Jordan Elliott, Kevin Givens, and Yatir Gross-Matos is going to be able to contribute. I'm hoping that Drake has a big year and that Matos, Gross-Matos steps in, and that Jordan Elliott is the player that I remember coming out of Missouri, and, he's a positive surprise. But I mean, to me, there's a lot of unknowns there. And then I would say, if you said number one problem, I would say until somebody can show me otherwise, I'm going to say it's the run D. You lose Eric Armstead, you lose Dre Greenlaw, you may not have Talanoa Hufanga. That's an awful lot of your best run defenders, and especially Greenlaw. I mean, 2 years ago, you had Azeez, Warner, and Greenlaw. Now you're just going to have Warner, 2 years later. So, and I thought they missed Azeez terribly last year. So you missed Azeez. Now you're going to miss Greenlaw. Greenlaw made a ton of tackles against the run. him and Fred were so good against the run that it kind of camouflaged the fact that the rest of the group wasn't that great against the run. So now you take Dre out of the mix, and now you throw in Devondre Campbell or Graham or Winters or whoever it's going to be. And what does the Niner run D look like? Because you're right. If you can't stop the run, why is anybody going to take a chance? I mean, we saw it in the playoffs with Kansas City.
Yeah.
When teams, they just said, you know what? We're just going to run the ball. We got a great center. We got 2 great guards. We got receivers we don't trust and all kinds of stuff going wrong in our offense. We'll just run it between the guards with Pacheco, and then we'll get to 3rd and manageable, and we'll put it in Patrick's hands, and we won't take chances. No 5 and 7 step drops. No down the field. No Marquez Valdez-Scantling. We're just going to throw it to Kelsey and Pacheco, and that's it. Otherwise, Patrick's going to run. They just simplified.
Small ball. And they said, we got the defense. We got
chances,
the defense.
No risks.
Don't take any chances. Let's go with what we know. All right. And we got the signal caller who's not going to make any mistakes. Small ball. Let them lose the game. We don't got to go win it. Let them go lose it. So that's not us. I hope not. But when you have issues with being able to stop the run, most teams are going to lead with that. It's like, wait a minute. Before we even start game planning, burning the midnight oil, let's just, can we get in I real quick? Can we get in 12 and just run at them real quick? If they can't do that, it's like boxing. It's like, dude, I'm not throwing no power shots. Deal with this jab. If you can't stop this jab, then I'm jabbing you all day. I'm gonna punch your head off all day. You just got to be disciplined. So,
the Niners capitalize when teams take risks. When they get into 3rd and long and they drop 7 steps back and they can rush, they can have their D line dominate. But what if a team doesn't get to 3rd and long? What if they don't drop 7 steps back? What if they just run the ball and then have the quarterback, run it for a first down and keep it out of the air and don't take chances? So you almost have to do like 4 or 5 things first on defense to earn the right to rush the passer on 3rd and long. And ask the Ravens about what it was like rushing the passer on 3rd and long in the AFC title game. They didn't get a lot of opportunities to do it. So, because they couldn't really stop the run.